Do you too suffer from rat shit primary that sounds like rat shit or ratchet?
Well, this customer sure is. And being that I believe that this ratcheting noise is coming from somewhere in the charging system, I'm going to do a detailed breakdown on how to disassemble the inner and outer primary and get to your rotor and stator on these fuel injected baggers, these early twin cam fuel injected baggers. I believe they're actually the same on the Evo baggers that are fuel injected, which was 96 or something along those lines. This is probably a 96 to 2006-ish inner and outer primary charging system breakdown.
But let's get into it, see what's actually happening.
Advertise, it's no surprise the way they hide, and where's the line?
We will start by taking a T40 Torx bit and draining the primary fluid. Next, we'll remove the seat to gain access to the battery. Do that by lifting up this flap and pulling forward on the seat. You will see the retention screw that holds the seat on. You just simply lift up and slide this forward. With the seat removed, you will then take a 10mm wrench and remove your negative post. With that disconnected, push your cabling forward and ensure that it will not touch this post again. Next, what you will do is remove the passenger peg using a 5/16 Allen and removing this top bolt. Capture the bolt and simply pull this off. We do that to get access to these bolts here so we can get the outer primary and cover off. Next, we're going to be dropping the floorboard, just rotating it out of the way. And we do that by taking this 1/2-inch socket and getting to this bolt right here first. You may need to get it on it with a 1/2-inch box end and back it up on the back. I've also had very good luck using an impact and it spins off that nut on the front. Let's try it. Keep these all together. So there's the nut and bolt that we just removed from this spot right here. Now there's also one on the back side that we need to remove. I'll show it. It's right there. Now you can access that from the front. I'll show you how to. Now with your ratchet, a short extension, and a 12mm, or I'm sorry, a 1/2-inch socket, you can usually reach back behind here like this and get at it. Just feel around a little bit. There it is. Take it loose. Now that we remove that bottom bolt, what you can do is push down on this and rotate it out of the way. So now you're ready to take your 3/16 Allen and pop out the 10 outer primary cover bolts to where the outer primary cover will come out. So now what we'll wind up doing is pulling out this snap ring right here. You just get a set of snap ring pliers, get into the grooves, compress it, pull it out. Once that is out, then your clutch rod adjustment plate just pulls directly out, and that exposes the clutch nut. Now what we're gonna do is remove the clutch and compensator assembly. How we're gonna do that is take an 1.25-inch impact socket and go right onto that nut that we just exposed. Now this is a left-handed thread,
So what that means is it's not your traditional lefty-loosey, okay? It's actually lefty-tighty, righty-loosey. It's just backwards from everything, so there we go. Now we'll pop that right out. Then we go over here, and we have an 1.5 inch socket that goes onto your compensator. Now this is traditional threads, so you'll want to swap over. Boom. Pops right off. Next, we'll remove the nut for the primary chain tensioner. That is a 9/16 socket. Boom, and then that comes right off. And now this whole assembly will just slide right out. Next, we'll remove the starter jack shaft bolt. What you have is a tab that bends over and it locks onto the flats on this bolt to make sure that it doesn't back off. So what you'll have to do is get a screwdriver and a mallet and bend that out. Then you will take a 5/16, let me make sure, yeah, 5/16 socket and hammer that out. And that whole assembly will slide out like that. Next, we'll go to the other side of the bike and actually remove the starter. You'll use a 1/4 inch Allen. Now I'm using one that's rounded on the tip, that way I can get in here at a little bit of an angle. You can also do this with a wobble socket, or yeah, a wobble socket, but you'll just get in here. Get this broke loose. You'll get that unspun, and then there's another one right back here. You can see it. It's a little hard to see behind all that stuff, but it's just right in here. You'll be able to find it. And there's just 2 bolts holding that in. And you have to remove this because your starter bolts through your inner primary, and we will have to remove the inner primary. Now, the reason that we're going through all this work is because on these bigger charging systems, you can't remove the rotor with it still in the bike, with your inner primary still on. This has to come out. I believe it's only specific to the bigger ones, which you're going to find on like the, I believe it's just the fuel-injected models. It might be all touring, but I believe it's just fuel-injected models. One way or another, next step is we have to remove these locking tabs that are pinched down onto these bolts. Again, it's exactly like your starter jack shaft. You just get in here with a screwdriver and a mallet and hammer those up. Next, you take your 9/16, just joking. Next, you take your 1/2 inch socket, and you pop all of these loose. There's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inside, and then 1, 2 on the outside. So before we pull these two, what we're going to have to do is get the shifter and the dummy cover off. That way the shifter shaft can slide right out when this whole assembly comes out. This particular customer is only running one of the shifters, therefore you got this dummy cover on there. A lot of times you're going to have a heel and a toe shifter, so yours might look a little different. We get our 3/16 Allen. Get this popped loose.
and you'll pull this screw all the way out, because what you'll see is you have these different grooves right here that this bolt is actually going to run into, like through there. Kind of indexes with it. Sorry, that's a little blurry, but yeah, so you have to pull the bolt all the way out. Once you have it pulled out though, put the bolt back in. That way you don't lose it. Then get these other two. Oh, we have this spacer right there. Then pull up these other two off. This whole assembly should just start sliding right out. Yep, there it goes. You'll keep that tube. There we go. Now set this off to the side. Now that the inner primary is off, you can remove your rotor. Now there are a couple different ways that you can do this. You can get angled picks, 2 of them, put them in there and pull out. I like to use these threaded rods out of a gear puller kit, and they just thread right in. And then you will pull this off. It is a little tricky to get off just because it's magnetic, and it is a pretty tough magnet. With that being said, just walk it a little bit. There we go, and it's off.